Sidebar.
We're getting far more business done down there than we are up here.
Oh, okay,
The
I'll
atmosphere is
remember
cooler
that.
down there.
I'll remember that. All right, now we'll officially call this meeting to order. Any public comments tonight of anything that's not on the agenda? Now I'd like to welcome everyone to tonight's meeting. First off, we'll consider approval of the agenda.
What's so move?
Second.
Clerk will call the roll.
Starr.
Aye.
Yeager. Hammond.
Aye.
Malero.
Aye.
Agenda is approved, and we'll next approve the minutes of July 15th and 22nd.
So move.
Second.
Questions on the minutes? Clerk will call the roll.
Yeager. Hammond.
Aye.
Malero.
Aye.
Starr.
Aye.
Next is consideration of the approval of the consent calendar. Any questions there?
I would so move, Your Honor. Second.
Clerk will call the roll.
Hammond.
Aye.
Malero.
Aye.
Starr.
Aye.
Yeager.
Next is the business of the mayor. A couple things. I want to appoint Diane Stewart to replace Carol Tyler on the Housing Board. This is a position that someone who's a resident of the public housing needs to be on that board. Carol Tyler has been, but she has some personal issues that she'd like to step down, and Diane Stewart has done it before and is willing to step back up and fill that position. This appointment ends the February of 2020, so it'll come up again in several months, but I'd like to appoint Diane Stewart to replace Carol on the Housing Board.
Way down there.
Second.
Said you need a motion.
Any other questions or comments on that? Not, clerk will call the roll.
Malero.
Aye.
Starr.
Aye.
Yeager. Hammond.
Aye.
Next is a proclamation for American Wind Week. I was approached by Power Up Iowa, which is a state coalition of renewable energy supporters, to recognize American Wind Week. Governor Reynolds will be signing a statewide proclamation that will be part of the state fair next Monday. And so they would like communities to also offer their support to Wind Week in Iowa, or American Wind Week, that since Iowa is a major participant in wind energy, and I'd like to have that proclamation done.
You need a motion?
Have a motion, you need a second?
I'll second you.
Any further comments or questions? Clerk will call the roll.
Starr.
Aye.
Yeager. Hammond.
Aye.
Malero.
Aye.
I'm just wondering who you're going to read it to.
I'm going to read it to
The
these
wind.
gentlemen out here and the general public that's watching us all. So, proclamation for American Wind Week, whereas Iowa ranks second in the nation in wind power capacity with nearly 9,000 megawatts installed, producing enough electricity to power nearly 2.1 million homes. And whereas Iowa's wind production also ranks second in the nation at 33.7% of all in-state energy production, with current and future projects estimated to bring wind's share of electricity production to over 40% by 2020. And whereas Iowa is home to 114 wind farms and 10 wind-related manufacturing facilities, and whereas wind powers opportunity in cities and communities all across Iowa, resulting in $58 million in state and local tax payments and $20 to $30 million in land lease payments in 2018 alone. And whereas the development of wind power now supports nearly 10,000 jobs across the state, therefore, I, Dean Andrews, Mayor of Charles City, do hereby recognize August 11th through the 17th, 2019 as American Wind Week in Charles City, and encourage its residents to learn more about wind's impact on our community and celebrate Iowa's leadership in wind energy production. So I think, we are all fairly aware of wind energy in our region with all the wind farm and wind turbines around here. So I think it's a good alternate energy source, and I guess nice to have a proclamation to recognize that, so. Next up then is a,
I'm not going to say it. About wind.
all right. Next up is a request for street closures and use of city property for a National Night Out, which is tomorrow night. Discussion. Anybody have any discussion on that item? I think it's listed in our packet, the closure of, it's kind of the normal closure over there on
What they've always done.
Kelly and Blunt, and then also the 2 blocks on Jackson Street.
We've done this a lot of times, haven't we?
We've done it, I think this is the 3rd year they've done it, but it's kind of become a bigger and bigger promotion each year. I think there's a local committee that's also working with the police department on doing this, and they've got quite a lot of activities planned, and free meals and free this and free that, and a lot of good activity. I think the air flight helicopter is going to be there in the parking lot behind Tom Bach's business, and should be quite a good night. And I think the weather's supposed to be good too, so.
It appears the police have signed off
Yeah.
on the police's request.
I did notice that also.
To be effective at probably about 8 o'clock tonight, so
This has been a great event. It's been run really well and great opportunity to get the community together. I'd so move.
Second.
Any further questions or comments?
So we have 2 different requests here, or?
2 different requests. One's for Party in the Park, one's
No,
for National
on
Night.
this one
Oh, on this one.
particularly?
I didn't think so, but do we?
I bet it's for 2 lots.
Oh,
The,
2 different areas.
Oh, the other part is for the parking lot, yeah.
okay.
That parking lot.
Yeah.
park.
South Jackson,
Yeah.
2 blocks of South Jackson.
Yeah, that's request 2.
I didn't see the parking lot one, but
So the parking lot one will close tonight, then, so that there's time to block that off. And I'm assuming our motion was for both of those?
who made the motion?
Yes,
yeah.
the motion was to approve their request.
Their request.
The request is for both items.
Great.
Street closures and use of city property.
Okay.
I took it as one request for the 2.
Clerk will call the roll.
Yeager.
Yeah.
Hammond.
Aye.
Malero.
Aye.
Star.
Aye.
And that use is approved, and next is a request for street closure for a Party in the Park on Friday, the 9th of August. Mark?
Good evening. We already have street closures for the typical Party in the Park stuff on Kelly, Blunt, and North Jackson. We've had an offer by the Floyd Fire Department to put on a junior firefighter challenge, kind of an obstacle course, fun thing for the kids. They're not going to charge for, but it is going to involve, among other things, using a small fire hose line where they knock down cones with a stream of water. And because of that, we're going to be aiming the stream into the intersection there on North Jackson and Kelly. So we're requesting the entire intersection be closed. Normally, we keep a lane open there for traffic to turn, but requesting the entire intersection now be closed for that event.
So that in turn was going to close those blocks. then,
Correct.
'cause you close it at Clark and then down. Yeah.
And the businesses along there have been notified.
So it will be closed at Clark, it won't just be the intersection.
Correct.
Talking with the chief, we think we can leave the one access there between Central Park Dentistry and Floyd Mutual Insurance open so they can access that lot and Clark Street there.
So it'll be half of,
They can
Half a
access
block, huh?
that parking lot there. They just can't get out of their parking lot on Kelly Street.
okay.
And the stream's not going to go all the way across the street, they tell me, but we just want to make sure there's no issues with cars or somebody driving by with an open window. It's going to get a surprise. So this is a last minute addition that they offered, otherwise it would have been part of our original request.
So move.
Second.
Any further questions for Mark? Clerk will call the roll.
Hammond.
Aye.
Malero.
Aye.
Star.
Aye.
Yeager.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mark.
I'll try out, see how I do. There you go. Need that junior firefighter badge.
Next item is a public hearing on the 2019 Drainage Improvements Project. We'll open the hearing. Filing of affidavit of publication.
Yes, Your Honor.
Any written comments or objections?
None, Your Honor.
Any oral comments tonight or objections?
Move to close.
Second.
Clerk will call the roll.
Valero.
Aye.
Star.
Aye.
Yeager.
Aye.
Hammond.
Aye.
Discussion.
Yes, so at this point, we're going to ask the council not to pass Resolution 100-19 because we are still waiting for easements on the property. Some of them from the property owners themselves directly, so we're directly impacted, I should say. So what we're looking to do is push it to the next meeting and hopefully have those in hand. Because we don't want to put that bid out without having those easements to the bidder. So I guess at this point, we just ask that you take no action.
And sorry, just to clarify, we are taking action to set a new hearing
Oh,
date,
I'm sorry.
but we're not taking any action on the actual plans and specs right now. Steve, John and I discussed that we thought it would be prudent to push the hearing date back till after the bid letting date. So basically, we're just resetting the same hearing for September 3rd. So the bids will be in by then, and then hopefully at that next hearing date, we can have the hearing and approve the plans and specs. And the reason we pushed it back is just because of the timelines required for the 4 to 20 days publishing notice before you have the hearing. So we are asking council to approve 100-19 to set the new public hearing date for September 3rd.
Okay.
Yep.
Motion for that.
I would so move.
Second.
Any further questions? Clerk will call the roll.
Star.
Aye.
Yeager.
Aye.
Hammond.
Aye.
Valero.
Aye.
Motion approved, and we'll proceed again on the 3rd. Next is Resolution 101-19, accepting the 2018 HMA paving project.
Yep.
Discussion here.
So this is our 2018 paving project. It's been wrapped up now, so we're ready to approve final payment. Heartland Asphalt did the work. The total estimate was, total bid was $151,349.75, and actual completed project cost was $146,607.55, so about $4,500 or so under what was quoted. So with that, we do look to approve Resolution 101-19, and there's some typos in the cover sheet there, but 101-19 would be approval of that final payment for that $8,517.88. So all those numbers are correct.
So move.
Second.
Any further questions on this item?
Work looks good, no issues.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Heartland does a good job. They
Yeah.
always.
Gotta ask anyway.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Clerk will call the roll.
Yeager.
Aye.
Hammond.
Aye.
Valero.
Aye.
Star.
Aye.
All right, we'll pay for our work we had done, I guess.
It's nice to be done. Some of that stuff.
Next is Resolution 102-19, approving the engineering agreement for the South Johnson Oliver Street Drainage Project.
Yeah, so this is the stormwater project that we were looking at that we felt we wanted to do some additional study to really find out what we need to do there on South Johnson and Oliver Streets with all the stormwater issues. We had received 3 quotes from VMK, Fairgram, and SEH Engineering, and the low quote was from VMK for $8,900. The middle quote was from Fairgram for $15,000, and the high quote was from SEH Engineering. As we talked about at our workshop, We are recommending the middle quote for $15,000 from Fairgram, as, you know, we felt that their process and planning better meets our needs for stormwater management than the plan from V&K as proposed. I mean, not to oversimplify it, but V&K was suggesting just additional intakes, additional, you know, kind of, we felt was the push it down the line type of approach, whereas we're looking to do more with on-site retention and mitigation. So with that, we make a recommendation in Resolution 10219 to Fairgram Engineering for $15,000.
Any questions?
Well, I say as a state leader in floodwater mitigation, I think this is a prudent direction to go with that middle one, as it more closely fits with what we're trying to accomplish. As you said, not just simply pushing the water down and making someone else's problem. Let's stop the problem here. If that's where Fairgram is kind of going with that, and in with our workings, that seems reasonable.
Don't you move?
Is that a motion? Oh, I was gonna, I didn't know if that was a motion or not. Keith,
I
you made a
didn't want
motion?
to talk too much. I save the build up for someone
Okay,
else. but-
Keith motioned.
Second?
Second.
Now, any further comments?
Do want to hog the spotlight from you guys, so.
I say, when do you ever not want to talk?
Clerk will call the roll.
Hammond.
Aye.
Malero.
Aye.
Star.
Aye.
Yeager.
All right, so we'll get looking into that. Next is Resolution 10319, which is a engineering agreement for the Main Street Bridge repair. Discussion.
Right. This resolution would approve an agreement with the city and Calhoun Burns. They're kind of our resident bridge engineer specialists. They do regular inspections of all of our bridges and are really kind of, you know, experts in that field. So we reached out to them to get a proposal for further evaluating the Main Street Bridge, which they did, and so then to put together some engineering design services and prepare plans for a potential project. We asked for an amount not to exceed, which they quoted us $22,500. There are some additional costs for geotechnical work. That's estimated to be around $6,600. And for an overall project of what they're presuming is going to be about $325,000 in work on the Main Street Bridge here. So, as with anything, you know, we'll learn more once we get into it. But there's certainly some settling that's been happening there, and things that we need to address. So, we would recommend this Resolution 10319 to Calhoun Burns for $22,500.
Comments, questions?
So move.
Second?
Any other questions? See, we want to take care of our bridge while we can before we end up with a Charlie Western Bridge, huh?
Yes, yeah,
Steve, what's been identified so far, if I'm not mistaken, is more surface issues and things like that.
mainly,
Threat to people crossing that, or no?
No.
Thought it'll be closed anytime soon.
no, we haven't, I mean, last fall when we had, where we had to tear up, or winter, November, whenever that was, that we had to open up that one end of it there. We had a considerable amount of washout that was coming through there from a broken water main. When that got dug out, we found we found a channel that we kind of knew was there, connecting one side to the other that was used at one point. But that didn't seem to impact or show any type of, serious, problems with the bridge. But there is some settling on that far lane, the dam side lane. It kind of dips down in there. So, while there doesn't appear to be anything, we hope to find no problems and confirm that we don't have any problems. But $325,000 on a bridge doesn't go a long way. So that's with the assumption that there's not a lot wrong with it, I guess, in short.
Any other questions?
and it does not include painting. I know we talked about that, but that doesn't include painting of the bridge.
Clerk will call the roll.
Malero.
Aye.
Star.
Aye.
Yeager. Hammond.
Aye.
10319 is approved. Next is 10419, setting a public hearing on conveyance of property.
Yes, so this one, we will not be taking action on tonight. This is that piece of property that the school is interested in, part of that Outlot C that the city acquired from Allied, where, so they can reroute the Comet Drive there. We were looking to, gift them a piece of ground. We were roughly thinking 50 by 200 or 50 by 100. The dimensions that they're looking for are 100 by 200. And so we have those dimensions, but we do not have the legal description for that. And that was one of the things that their engineer did not provide that. They weren't asked to provide that until, I guess, I asked for it Friday, assuming I was going to get it, and they hadn't prepared it. So, and to greater detail that Brad might be able to explain, because of the way it sits, and it's highly likely that a plat of survey is going to be required. So they're going to have to survey it, and the school has to approve that. So long story short, there's more steps that have to take place before we can officially take action on this. So I think that's kind of the gist of it. But we're not ready to set that public hearing tonight. But
That's not our cost to survey it.
no, that would be the schools. That would be the schools. But they have to, their attorney has to review it and see if they feel a plat of survey is necessary. If they're okay with the legal description that the engineer did come up with a legal description, but they don't feel they feel a plat of survey would probably be needed. Brad agrees with that, but that's not our call. It's the school's call. So,
Basically,
Okay.
the ball, yeah, Steve summed it up perfectly. The ball is in the school's court right now to let us know how they want to proceed. So.
Want to keep the ball in the ball diamond.
I'm going over that big orange monster. Huh? All right, well, then we will move on to Resolution 10519, which is authorizing adoption of Statement of Work with the Iowa Partners in Conservation Grant.
yes. So, the statement of work for the IPC grant. This is the as you follow me down the rabbit hole with this, of course, we have our wastewater treatment plant project, and from that we have our sponsored project that we were awarded $1 million to do water quality, stormwater management projects with. So we have $1 million that we'll be able to use. Of that $1 million, we committed $500,000 of that to be used in rural Charles City. Basically, there's an area outside, kind of starts at the east part of town, wraps around, and works its way to the west and to the northwest. That immediate watershed, the watershed that's directly adjacent to the RCPP grant. So this is where the Iowa Soybean Association came into the water management plan, and so that $500,000 that we're spending on those projects, we leverage into this grant application. And this grant application is going to fund $435,000 from USDA NRCS, plus $10,000 coming in from the Iowa Water Alliance to fund a full-time staffed position to oversee those water projects. That person will also be able to help out kind of on the tail end of the RCPP project, but it'll be mainly directing towards this sponsored project piece that we're working on. And so this statement of work basically lays out the responsibilities between the city, between NRCS, and so it's for a total project of $945,000, $510 coming from a local, $500 being ours, $10 from Iowa Water Alliance, and $435 from the federal side of it. So it's basically to fund a staff position. And our discussion has been that the Floyd Soil and Water Conservation District will house this employee. They will oversee that employee, but the funding will be coming through the city via this NRCS grant. And so that's an additional agreement, and we have to work out with Floyd Soil and Water Conservation to see how that specifically works out, but this is the funding mechanism. So
Will this person be a city employee or not?
No, I think technically it's going to be an employee of Soil and Water Conservation District, so it won't be a city employee, but it'll be a city-funded employee.
You know, the governor got in trouble here. I just wanted to make sure you had it all squared away.
Well, we hope to be advertising for this in the next few weeks, and hopefully have, and with the idea of having somebody on board by the end of November is kind of the timeline. So, because one of the goals in here is to have a name and contact by December 1st, to give to NRCS to really get this all lined up, but proof will be in the pudding this Thursday when we open bids for the wastewater treatment plant project. It all comes back and hinges on that, of course,
Yeah.
so.
I move for 10519.
Second?
Any further questions? Clerk will call the roll.
Star.
Aye.
Yeager.
Aye.
Hammond.
Aye.
Malero.
Aye.
All right, we'll move along with that. It's nice to, when you've got all this projects, to have somebody be the coordinator of the projects, I guess.
It would be very helpful, yes.
Any miscellaneous correspondence
None, Your
tonight?
Honor.
Brad, anything for the attorney's report?
No, Your Honor.
City clerk's report.
Our next planning session will be August 14th, and this will be held over at Public Housing. We're going to start at 5 o'clock with a tour of the public housing facilities. At least I think that's still on. I haven't heard otherwise. So we're going to tour all the facilities and then come back to the housing office and hold our meeting there at 6.
And I will not be there. I'll be in
Oh,
Chicago.
thank you. Okay,
That's Cedar Terrace South.
correct. Well, it's, what is it? Yeah, South 501 South Cedar Terrace, I think is the address, if anybody needs the address, but I'll have
I
it
think
on
there's
the
like a
agenda.
Court Street address, I
I'll-
think,
I'll have
technically,
it
or
on the
something.
agenda.
It's great.
Is that all you got to say tonight?
That's all I have to say.
And what, excuse me, but what time did you say, Trudy?
It starts at 5 o'clock with the tour, and we'll be taking a bus, a transit bus for that, and then come back to housing at 6 then for the business part of the meeting,
Okay,
Where'd you say we meet?
over at the housing office. That's it.
all right. City administrator's report.
Yeah, just a few things. Last week ago, last Friday, the mayor, Tim Fox, and myself, we went to Martinsdale, Iowa, which is, if you're curious, it's south of Des Moines, west of Indianola. And we toured a manufactured home that the contractor that does this Housing 360 program designed and put in the lot, and got to hear more about the Housing 360 and how it works. And basically, it's a program that's been put together to help create market rate workforce housing. And so they've got these various different models of pre-manufactured homes, which were, the one we went through was really nice. And so one of the things we talked about was options for this, for building additional housing in town. Where and how we do it, we're not quite sure of yet, but it's a project that's just been started off, and I know this year they're booked up with doing various communities and programs, but it's a way to get an affordable house, and they range from about $160,000 to about $220,000, $230,000. Either multiple bedroom, basement, garage, what have you. You got options there, but might be something for us to look for as we move forward on addressing our housing. Simple Essentials, as most of you know, tomorrow's our last day. Today, I did talk to the plant manager today, and today is our last day of production. And by tomorrow, they anticipate having all the product, and all the trucks are going to be taking their last shipments out. But he is going to be the contact for at least the next 30 days, and so. Sorry to see them go, of course, but wished him well and let them know that, as they look for a new company to come in and purchase the operation, that we're willing to, help out in any way we can. And he said he'd keep us posted, and said they had some interested parties, but we'll see what happens. Ambulance service. So this Wednesday at 6 o'clock on the 7th, we've got a meeting here. Roy Swickerath, the county supervisor, has kind of put together a group of community, community representatives from around the county to come in and talk about ambulance situation. As we know, we addressed the one in town for about a year. But how are we handling this countywide, and, there's some situations around the county where, there might not be ambulance service here in the very near future. So it's a way to get together and brainstorm to come up with ideas for how to try and address this problem that's being seen across the state. So we'll be doing that here this Wednesday. The CCADC development agreement between the city and ADC on the certified site. Mayor and I are going to be meeting with Tim Fox and ADC representatives this Wednesday morning to kind of talk through the development agreement. One of the things in there that's up for question is, we touched on it briefly, but was the idea of, once property is sold and everything is paid off, the loan and all of our liabilities are paid off, for that additional funds that are derived from the property, is there a share of that additional funds being delivered? Would ADC get to keep some of those funds to use for future development projects? And so we need to determine if and what type of split that would be. So I guess be ready to talk about that at probably about our next workshop, because I kind of threw something out there initially. We'll see what ADC thinks. I like the idea of, once we're free and clear of everything, giving them a little share of that, so that, helps them keep that price point up there on that property for future development. I think could be a real benefit. So, but we need to be careful. We need to be comfortable with what we look to agree with. So.
Either way, Steve, doesn't that money need to be used for projects in the district?
It would.
Whether the city takes it or the ADC takes it, it needs to be used in the district.
It would. That'd be used within South Grand. Yeah. Tomorrow morning, Daniel Stadler from the Iowa League of Cities is going to be visiting. The mayor and I are going to be taking him on a tour. He's one of the new employees with the League of Cities, and he's heard of Charles City and our various projects that we have going on, so he's going to be in town here tomorrow morning to tour our permeable pavers, things like that. Thursday's our big day, bid opening on the wastewater treatment plant project, so we're hoping for low numbers there. We have received, some interest that there's a number of contractors getting pricing, so hopefully we get a number of bids. So
That opening be in the afternoon?
I'm trying to think what time it is.
They
I can't
usually
remember
have them at
offhand.
2, usually in the afternoon, it seems. but
That
I
sounds
don't
about
know
right.
if
It'd be
that's
like 1 or
this
2.
one.
Yeah. And August 13th, Opportunity Zone. There's a webinar that Tim Fox was going to be doing, and he can't do it now, so I'm going to be sitting in on that. So I think there would be additional access available if anybody's interested to learn more about opportunity zones. These are tax investment opportunities for development in towns and communities, and we happen to have an opportunity zone, so I'm sitting in on that. And lastly, September 10th is the Chamber Golf outing. I'm looking to put together a city team, so if anybody's interested in golfing on the city team, let me know. That's all I have.
Can you provide information on the webinar?
I can, absolutely.
There's also a workshop coming up in Des Moines about the middle of September on opportunity zones, like a 6-hour workshop in Des Moines that I got some, I think the Economic Development Authority is putting that one on, I think, so. All right, any board, commissioner, committee reports of anybody? Hearing none, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.
Thanks, Brad.
Nicholas, is the ambulance meeting an official ambulance meeting, board meeting, or what is that?
This one I don't think is.
We're still mildly up in the air.
Hey, when you get sandwiched in.
That's going to have to be decided pretty